I've never been an Apple enthusiast. Honestly, a bit of a hater. Not into iPhones, not into iPads, and definitely not into Macs. I always felt Apple products were made for people who don't really understand technology. People who care more about design than functionality, and who don't really care where their money goes. That was until I heard about the Mac Mini M4. Apple's been doing something interesting lately. Not with flashy design changes or endless keynote buzzwords, but with raw silicon performance. Their computers have quietly become some of the best performing and most power-efficient machines on the market. And the M4 generation? That's the first time I genuinely thought maybe I was wrong about Apple. You've probably heard the hype. Apple Silicon changed everything. Since Apple ditched Intel, their machines have been faster, cooler, and more efficient. People are still happily using their M1 Macs years later because they simply don't slow down. MacBooks last for days on a single charge, and thermal performance is almost boring. It never gets hot enough to complain about. The M4 takes all of that and turns it up a notch. Better performance cores, improved GPU, more efficient memory, and in the case of the Mini, no fan noise whatsoever. It's almost weird using a computer that feels this fast and yet completely silent. So why the Mac Mini? Because it's the cheapest way to get into Apple's ecosystem without paying Apple prices. With the M4 lineup, the base model now comes with 256 gigabytes of SSD storage and 16 gigabytes of unified memory instead of 8, and starts at just $600 plus tax, which, coming from Apple, feels like a typo. After watching a few too many YouTube reviews and first impressions videos, I finally caved. With a student discount, I got mine for $500 plus tax, and at that price, it's hands down one of the best value computers Apple's ever made. When I unboxed it, I couldn't stop laughing. This thing is unbelievably small. It's like holding a metal sandwich that somehow runs Final Cut Pro. It's dense, heavy for its size, and perfectly minimal. No wasted space, no noise, no RGB distractions. It's the kind of product that reminds you Apple still knows how to design hardware right. On the back you get two Thunderbolt 4 ports, HDMI 2.1, Ethernet, and a 3.5mm headphone jack. It's not overloaded, but it's functional. If you're a power user with multiple external drives or displays, you'll want a hub. But for most people, this setup just works. Everything feels stable, fast, and plug and play. Let's talk performance, because that's where the M4 really shines. For everyday tasks, browsing, writing, light photo editing, it's instant. Apps open before you even realize you clicked them. Multitasking feels effortless, and the system never hiccups. When it comes to video editing, it's surprisingly capable. 4K timelines in DaVinci Resolve or Final Cut play smoothly, and render times are faster than I expected for a machine this small, even thermally. It doesn't get warm, and you'll never hear a fan. Now, let's talk about what's not so great. First, storage. The base model comes with 256 gigabytes, and that's just not enough in 2025. After installing macOS, a few creative apps, and syncing some files, you'll be shocked at how fast it fills up. Although it's not soldered NAND, you can buy third-party SSD and replace it yourself. The more convenient and cost-effective way is just hook it up with an external SSD using one of the Thunderbolt 4 port, which kind of ruins the whole minimal desktop vibe. Then there's macOS. Don't get me wrong, it's beautiful, stable, and well optimized, but it can still feel limiting. Simple tasks like file management or window snapping could be better, and if you're coming from Windows or Linux, it takes a bit of unlearning. It's smooth, but sometimes too locked down for power users. The thing about macOS is that you can do everything you can do on Windows, but you'll need a third-party app for it. So after a few weeks with the Mac Mini M4, I have to admit I'm impressed. It's small, fast, silent, and looks amazing on any desk. It handles creative work effortlessly and sips power like it's running on a battery. But it's not perfect. The lack of storage and upgradability hurt, and macOS still isn't for everyone. Still, for $600 or less, this is easily one of the smartest purchases you can make if you want a reliable, powerful, and quiet desktop for everyday use. If you've been a lifelong Windows or Linux user like me, this little box might be your gateway drug into the Apple world. It's not about being flashy, it's about getting things done, quietly and efficiently. Although it's packing some punch, the Mac Mini M4 isn't trying to be the most powerful computer in the room. It's just the one that doesn't get in your way. And honestly, that's what makes it kind of perfect.